As human beings, we crave relaxation. We need it, especially in difficult times such as these. And millions of people around the world turn to video games to relax. But can any game be relaxing? I've gathered some amazing creators to help me get to the bottom of how important gaming for relaxation is. And together, we'll discover the incredible variety of games that we all turn to help us relax. Let's start off with the obvious. I'm sure when I refer to relaxing games, an image is conjured in your mind. Perhaps that image is of a game with a cutesy kind of art style, maybe pixel art or cel-shaded, or some other aesthetically pleasing art direction. It probably has the chillest of vibes, and maybe a lo-fi or just generally calming soundtrack. I mean, realistically, I've probably just described everything from Stardew Valley to A Short Hike to Animal Crossing. And whilst those games are what people traditionally refer to when talking about relaxing gaming, they're not necessarily the go-to games for everyone. What do I mean by that? Well, whilst I do appreciate a good cozy game, there is in fact a genre of games that I always turn to when I want to chill out and wind down from a busy day. And that genre is strategy games. I love a good strategy game. Whatever it is, from the classic Age of Empires series that was a massive chunk of my gaming childhood, to the Total War series in more recent years. Hell, it doesn't even need to be a historical strategy game like those two. It really can be any kind of game that has some kind of strategic elements to it, be it something more playful like Mario vs Rabbids, or conversely something much darker like Total War Warhammer, for example. But the game I turn to more than any other when I want to relax is Sid Meier's Civilization 6. I don't know what it is about Civ 6 that I find so relaxing. At the end of the day, it doesn't have those features that we readily associate with relaxing games. There's no lo-fi chill soundtrack, there's no cutesy art style, and in fact, the antithesis to many of those relaxing ideals, it has crushing combat, destructive natural disasters, and aggressive AI. All things that should make your heart beat just a little bit faster. But something about it just keeps me coming back over and over again. Trying to analyse it now, I think it must be the sim element, that appeal to be creative. Because you see, weirdly, I very rarely head into a game of Civ 6 with the idea to actually win it. Instead, it's the creative potential that drives me. The idea that I can create my own little empire of cities and trade networks. Because of this approach, I don't go in for optimized builds and perfect strategies. I rarely dive in thinking I'm going to smash out a domination victory. Instead, I often approach the game in a similar way that you would approach a game like Dwarf Romantic, a cute puzzle-like game where you place down tiles to create beautifully wonderful landscapes. I play my games of Civ 6 in a way that focuses on building my cities as aesthetically pleasing a way as possible. I like to imagine my citizens marvelling at the beauty of the views from their university that backs onto a glorious mountain range. I like to think of the denizens of my cities travelling on a route that takes them past astounding wonders. I play the game in a way that pleases me and no one else. But why exactly do I find strategy games overall so relaxing? Well, they require me to constantly analyse and review my situation and decide what to do next. This helps take me away from the real world completely. My mind is engaged by what I'm doing on screen, not what happened at work that day. Strategy games engage me in a way that no other genre or media does. I find little room for distractions whilst playing. I find myself fully engrossed in the tasks set out before me. Whether that's keeping my population alive from the devastating cold in Frostpunk, or intricately planning my way to victory in Pikmin. It doesn't really matter what strategy game it is. I generally do find them all extremely relaxing, and they are my go-to games when I want to put my feet up at the end of a difficult week and just switch off from the world. But enough about me. What other kinds of games do other people play to relax? Let me know what game you turn to relax in the comments below. I've asked that same question to some amazing content creators from all around the gaming sphere. So let's hear all about what games they turn to help them relax.
in all honesty, games are how I relax. Even games like Dark Souls or like Doom Eternal or even sort of like dense strategy titles, I mean, they're all kind of a reprieve from work and other commitments. But I guess like to drill down a little bit further into like games that specifically I would use to relax with, usually it's stuff that's pretty low friction. And it's funny because like when I think of games that are kind of low friction, it's stuff that I've sort of played like a lot over the years. So games like Super Mario 64, like the Game Boy Advance, Metroid games, Batman Arkham Asylum, like that. The reason that they are low friction is because of the fact that like not only are they easier than Dark Souls or like Doom Eternal or these strategy games, but it's because like I've played them so much and I know like all their ins and outs. Like when I played them like the first time they came out, like especially Mario 64 where I was a kid, like I only maybe got like a few stars at the time. Like I maybe just tried to go to the final boss and left it at that. But then, you know, nowadays I can do like 120 stars, but then like, you know, it's, well, I know that I'm comfortable doing this, so perhaps like, you know, can I do this quicker? Can I do this out of order? You know, all that sort of stuff. And, you know, that's kind of where I get a lot of the joy out of that. So like, even though you're not really collecting new stars or discovering new places, you know, there's just something really familiar about like going back to these familiar, you know, like places you know, and then, you know, doing the same trails but doing them like better every time. What's been interesting is that there has actually been a game recently that does kind of nicely replicate the joy I get from nearly all these games, and it's a game called Tiny Kin. And essentially it's like a 3D platform sandbox game, like the sort of thing that you'd play in the 90s, like on a PlayStation or an N64. So the main goal is that you gotta like rebuild a spaceship to get back to your home planet. Like this Tiny Kin planet is where you've landed and you need to get back home, and essentially the things that you need to get back home are all just kind of like, it's very kind of Pikmin-y. They're all like things that you recognize. Like it's not saving the world, it's not like, you know, stopping a deadly plague. It's all like really low stakes, and you know, that's kind of what I like about it. It does feel like a greatest hits collection of like the N64 and GameCube kid game era, you know, like the whole big little world aesthetic feels like a big old riff on like those 3D Toy Story games that, you know, Traveler's Tales were making at the time. What's cool is that with Tiny Kin, like the reason it's called Tiny Kin, like its gimmick is Pikmin, essentially. Like, you know, there's these bugs that you can talk to, but then there's also these little guys that you can just collect through levels, and that's kind of how you solve puzzles and stuff. Like, you know, the ones that you start with are these little pink guys that you just throw on objects and they can carry that, you know, you throw like 20 Tiny Kin on a vase and they pick it up and then they move it through the level. But then you have like Tiny Kin that you can use to blow stuff up. You can have like ones that build bridges. You even have these ones which I really like, which are they stack on top of each other like trapeze artists, but then you can climb them like a ladder. In a game that's all about platform, I think it's really neat that you can just essentially make your own platforms wherever you want. And yeah, like the fact that you're helping out these little guys who, like, all their problems are kind of silly, but they take them, like, dead seriously is very Banjo-Kazooie.
Hi, my name is Kat, and my channel is called Cozy Gamer Cat. So for me, like, definitely any farming sim. Right now, it's been My Time at Sandrock, it's been Stardew Valley, it's been Minecraft, anything like that, pretty much. As long as it's something that has kind of a repetitive task, and that I can focus kind of a lot of my energy on, it keeps me feeling relaxed and cozy. Even if that also means that I have like 2 spreadsheets open on like analyzing my crop system and all the tasks I have to do. I think for me, I live a very kind of organized and work-heavy life, so getting to kind of put myself in a different situation in which I run a farm, live in a small town, really helps to relax me and kind of get out of my own head. I think for a lot of my generation who has ended up either like working from home or working an office job, getting that kind of alternative reality where our responsibilities are a lot more linear, even if we have to like organize a lot or track a lot of things to play it, it's really kind of an escape mentality. They might not be like cozy in the same way that you'd find like a cozy puzzle game cozy, but I think it's really relaxing to kind of put yourself in someone else's shoes that you might never live that life.
So this is Nathan, aka No Signal on Instagram with a 0. My choice of relaxing game is Dark Souls, the original Dark Souls. Which is, again, is not, I guess, like a typical pick for a relaxing game, but I will explain why. this game is something that I've played many times. I've played this original PlayStation 3 a few times over when I got this edition. Then the Prepare to Die edition came out with the Artorias of the Abyss DLC included, and I played that again. And then I played the Dark Souls remastered, and I think I played the Switch version. So I played this loads and loads of times. So this is a game that I have come back to again and again and again and again and again, and that is going to inform some of these answers to why I find this game so relaxing to kind of load up and play. So Dark Souls obviously has a reputation for being a hard game to play, and I think the first time through any of these sort of Souls games, then you have to be hyper alert, you have to be on your A game, get good. And that's especially true, I think, of the newer titles. So stuff like Elden Ring, Dark Souls 3, Sekiro especially. Jesus Christ, that game was hard. Even anything past Bloodborne. Bloodborne really started to introduce this idea of a more dynamic world for Souls games. But before that, especially this game, and Demon Souls and Dark Souls 2 as well, really there wasn't a huge amount of randomness in these games. Like, enemies did not move around the map. They were stationed in their spawn points on the map. Weapons and equipment were always in the same place, in chests that you knew would be in the right location. So there's a kind of, after you played it for a while, there's a rhythmic kind of quality to going through a playthrough. You're just like, going to go in, I know these enemies here, I have to dodge left, kill this guy, then I have to go forward, dodge right because a firebomb comes down, kill this guy, loot this chest, get this piece of armor, equip it. That's how people manage to speedrun these games, I think, so well. And that's why I find them, well, especially this game, Dark Souls, is just super relaxing to play for me now, because it's like a lot of muscle memory. Playing this game, I can kind of almost don't have to think about how the character moves and the timing of attacks and things like that. It just happens in a kind of trance-like state. And so, like, from playing the game over and over and over again, I think that's why it's so relaxing now.
My go-to game, or genre, if you will, is a city building or management style game, such as City Skylines or Planet Zoo, or even, as of recent, 2 Point Campus. There's something about those games that just brings me peace, knowing that I can start with a blank canvas and essentially just create a world based around my own idea, and the only limits really are my own imagination. Alongside those things, you can also just lose hours and hours to those types of game, because you can get so lost in the world that you just forget about the real world and everything else going on, and you can just focus on creating something that you've really, really wanted to make. City Skylines, for example, is a game that is so kind of expansive that you don't realize how much time you're putting into it. I think at this point on Steam, I've had over, 100 hours in City Skyline, which is mind-boggling to me to kind of realize that I've put that much time into a game. But when you look back at kind of what you've created and everything, it's always worth it. And for me, that just brings just so much relaxation to me and just allows me to be myself, I guess.
Hi there, I'm Rowan, aka GumFist _ on pretty much everything. I'd have to say my go-to game to relax to typically would be some sort of arena shooter. I was a big fan of Unreal Tournament 3 for a long time, and just arcadey shooters, stuff like that. But if you're asking what kind of game I can completely just shut my brain off, sit down at the end of a long day and just fall into, it would have to be the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. I believe it's just like the perfect nostalgic, just in your face, high fantasy, low poly game. There's something about that era and how it looked, the stories of how the game was made, the terrible but amazing voice acting, the absolutely fantastic score. The original soundtrack, I listen to it throughout my day-to-day life. It's that good, and it's just one of those games I can kind of immerse myself into at any long evening and just sit there and fall into it. It's the type of game that I would probably always lean towards at the end of a long day. For me, most relaxing games are games that I want to completely escape my world. I want to go into a story-rich, immersive experience. Games like Disco Elysium come to mind. Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Just any solid RPG with a lot of reading, a lot of stats, and a lot of things to just kind of take me away from the struggles of uni and the struggles of day-to-day life, you know?
So, as you've seen, realistically any game out there can be a relaxing game to someone. It depends on a massive variety of factors and personal preferences. So whilst a game having the relaxing tag might mean that it has certain identifiable characteristics, it doesn't mean you're guaranteed a relaxing time. And also, as we've discovered, it doesn't mean that any game can't be relaxing. But what do I know? I'm just one guy making videos on the internet. So let me know in the comments below what you play to help you relax. I'm genuinely interested to hear your stories. I just want to say thank you for watching all the way to the end of the video. You're amazing. But seriously, I do want to go on the record of thanking everyone involved in making this video. Please do go check out all the other creators that have appeared in this video today, as they're all amazing. And you never know, you might find your new favourite content creator amongst them. I'll link all their socials in the description below. And if you've enjoyed this video, I'd massively appreciate it if you liked it, shared it with your friends, and hey, even subscribe if you want. I don't post content as regularly as I'd like to at the moment, but that's just because I work full-time and study as well. But I do have all my videos for the rest of the year planned out. So, if you want to see more from this channel, then like I said, please by all means do subscribe and turn that notification bell on as well. If you want to follow me on any of my other socials, then they're all linked below as well. But once again, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you all back here soon. But in the meantime, why not check out these other videos I've made? Until next time, see ya, bye!